Are you stuck between biomedical science and biomedical engineering? You're not sure which path to choose? You are not alone. This is the most common question that I get from students and early career professionals. In this video, I'm going to break it down, the real differences between biomedical science and biomedical engineering, not just the study, but the skills, the career path, the salary, and more. Whether you're choosing your degree or thinking about which path to go, by the end of this video, hopefully you will have an idea and you'll make the right choice for you. So let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. I'm so excited about this video because it's actually something I had to learn, and I didn't even know that biomedical engineering existed. It's only when I started exploring, actually two occasions. The first occasion when I was exploring new job opportunities, and then I realized that biomedical engineering exists and it's different from biomedical science. And I delivered a webinar last year to biomedical engineering about biomedical science, and I thought, you know what, and I had questions about it as well. I thought, okay, why not share this video? So without further ado, we're going to talk about what biomedical science is, what is biomedical engineering, what's the education and the qualification routes, salary, career growth, and the industry sectors where you can work in, and how you can decide which path is right for you. So let's crack on. So first, I'm going to start with my profession. As you know, I'm a biomedical scientist. I'm self-employed, which I've shared the story about that, and stay tuned to more. So biomedical science, it's all about understanding the human body, how it works both in health and disease. So it focuses on diagnostics, pathology, laboratory work, and scientific investigation. And that way they will support healthcare, especially in patient diagnosis, treatment, and disease management. So typically the modules you'll be studying, I start with my one because I specialize in infection sciences, microbiology, or also known as infection sciences, cellular pathology, immunology, clinical biochemistry, hematology, and transfusion science. So these are normally the core modules that you will be studying when you study biomedical science. So the skills, it's not everything, but this is a simplified slide. I've got another slide where I explain specifically almost every skill that you will gain as a biomedical scientist. So analytical and laboratory skills, attention to details, problem solving, working with diagnostic tools, whether manual or automated, laboratory information system, that's when you enter the laboratory information and it's all interconnected with the whole system. And communication, communicating scientific findings. So these are, in my opinion, are core skills, and they're very, very important in terms of developing yourself, not just in the profession. There's one thing I want to share with you, something personal, in order for you to understand disease diagnosis. And I always use this slide when I'm presenting talks to not just scientists, but also the general public. So if I'm delivering to professionals who are non-scientists, the disease diagnosis, think of it as an ecosystem. You've got the doctors. When you go to the doctor and you complain of whatever symptoms you're suffering from, the doctor will request specimens from you, not necessarily bloods. And then these specimens are alongside with the test, they get sent to the laboratory. The laboratory will process them, and biomedical scientists ourselves, we will do the investigation and analysis and report it back to the doctors. And then the doctors will be able to move on with the process, whether diagnosing, in terms of diagnosing and treatment. So this is, just think of it as a very simple diagram to know where your role stands. And also appreciating the different roles. You've got biomedical scientists, you've got MLAs as well, or medical laboratory assistants. So you've got two processes. You've got the processing, which the MLAs carry out, and you've got the biomedical scientists who do the investigation and the reporting. So, and I've explained that in previous videos. Any videos, I put the links in the description. I've spoken about each profession and also the progression, also in the private or in the NHS. So check out these videos. And by the way, guys, I will be sharing more content, so make sure that you drop any questions that you might have, because this is how the channel grows, this is how we learn. So let me know and comment below if you have any further questions, because that way we can move forward. So now we move into the next section. What are the typical roles? Typically, the first thing that comes into people's mind is working in the NHS. Obviously, after your HCPC journey, where you need to register, if you are in the UK, you might decide to work as a research scientist, whether in the private sector or any other way. You can even work in private. I started my journey in the private sector as an MLA and as a BMS, so the whole story in the previous video, so you can watch about it, but there's more to come. Also, if you decide not to work in the laboratory, that's the misconception. Even for me, I used to think you only have to work in the laboratory, but not necessarily. So there are non-lab paths, and we're going to talk about that in upcoming videos. I've covered it in the previous videos, but there's more to come. You can work in quality assurance or Q&A. There are regulatory affairs in healthcare company. You can work in technology. You can work in administration. There's another comprehensive list which I'll share for you to look at. But again, one thing I want to do is simplify everything for you, bite size for you. So this is the content that will be from now on. Also, you can work in sales or technical support. I like sales because the good thing is when you work in a company, you can grow within the company. You can move around. You can move from one department to another. It's much, much faster than if you work in the NHS. And this is from my own personal experience. I started in the private, so I've moved from specimen reception to microbiology, from night shift to day shift, and then I explored the NHS. So that's why I really like, this is my own personal opinion. Like I said, anything I share in this channel is from my personal experience or observations, and from other people's experiences around me, because it's a world, we live in a mixed up world. Anyway, so this is how I've seen, not just in my case, but in other people's cases. When they work in a company, they can progress. So it's much easier. So if you don't want to work in a lab, there is hope. It's not a dead end. It's not just one way. There are other options. And further on, we're going to explain why it's much better this coming and in upcoming content. So, in a nutshell, biomedical scientists work directly with patient samples, like blood sciences, like we've mentioned, the other disciplines, microbiology and histopathology, etc. By the way, the namings might be different, but when you look at the breakdown of the modules, you'll get the gist of what the modules include. So now we move into biomedical engineering. Biomedical engineering focuses on design and innovation of medical devices that can enhance patient care and treatment outcomes, integrating the principles of engineering and biology. So it is involved in healthcare, but from a different angle. So the typical study modules will include engineering mathematics, biomechanics, medical device design, electrical and electric systems, imaging technologies such as MRI and ultrasound. These are all new to me, by the way, guys. It's so technical. That's my opinion, guys, so I'm not being judgmental. So what are the core skills that you will develop? Engineering design and innovation, understanding materials and manufacturing processes, problem solving with the focus on human health, applying robotics, AI, and digital health solutions, which is very, very hot at this time that we are experiencing with the technology transforming healthcare. So I'm sure wherever you are, you've heard about AI and technology and digital health. So what are the career paths for biomedical engineers? It includes medical device companies who design, test, and do quality control, research and development, or also commonly said R&D. I didn't even know that existed until I started working as a research scientist. Robotics and prosthetic design, medical imaging companies, startups who focus on healthcare innovation or healthcare solutions. So, in a nutshell, biomedical engineers don't work directly with patient samples like biomedical sciences. They focus on devices, systems, and technology. And you know what, guys? When I started exploring, as you know, I'm self-employed, so I started traveling and attending healthcare events. And now looking back, most of them were engineers. And I was the only biomedical scientist exploring because we are stuck in the lab. That's the whole reason I left full-time job. The story is all in my videos. That's why I left full-time job, because I wanted to explore my role outside the laboratory. So I realized engineers have great opportunities or something, but we're going to talk about this further. So in terms of education and qualifications, I've put them together because they are very similar. They rely on three things: a degree, getting the right registration, and if you want to progress, you take additional education. So for biomedical science, you need a bachelor's degree in biomedical science or biomedical sciences or biomedicine or all these new names. We're going to talk about that in a further video, what's the difference between them. The NHS biomedical scientists in the UK who are HCPC registered, is important to be registered, whether obviously you go via IBMS. I've spoken about that, but we're gonna talk about that. If you're international or home student, we're gonna talk about that, because a lot of queries I get about international students. In order to progress, you or specialize in biomedical science, you do post graduate degree, master's or PhD for research or specialist role. Like my case, I've got master's in biomedical science, medical microbiology, and I've done a postgraduate in healthcare management. For biomedical engineer, also you need a bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering, medical engineering, or bioengineering. So the names seem to vary, so same as biomedical sciences. Some roles require, in terms of registration, some roles they do require your degree to be accredited by the Engineering Council if you are working in the UK. For postgraduate, again, you need masters or PhD if you want to progress into research-based or high-level R&D. So if you noticed, both of them, they need a bachelor's. Secondly, they need to be accredited, and you need the correct registration. Postgraduate if you need to progress. So this is very, very important. However, I would like to add to this as well the importance of lab experience or industry experience, since we are talking in general for both. So placements, internships, and industry experience are highly valued. They are very, very important. This is something I wish someone told me before I even started my career. So whatever walk of life you belong to, industry experience or experience is extremely important. And I've spoken about that, how you can do that in previous videos, but we're going to talk about that further in future. So money talks, as they say. Understanding salaries and career growth in biomedical fields, that's for both. I'm talking about the UK, guys, because I'm a UK registered biomedical scientist, and I studied in the UK university and I developed myself in the UK. So anything I share with you guys, I will be specifying UK. So there's some things I will talk about globally, which I know. And again, by all means, guys, share with me any questions you have, and I will be letting you know once I do my finding outs. So in the UK, biomedical scientists and engineers, they enjoy a competitive salary with significant potential growth. So understanding industry sectors will help you to make an informed career choices for future success. So in terms of salary, career growth, and industry sectors, I've put them all under one thing, by the way. For biomedical scientists, in the NHS, you start as a band 5. And the salary will start between 28 to 35. I'm recording this at this time, so things, maybe by the time you watch this video, salaries have changed. So at the time of recording, and where the resources that I've got this information from, which is in the description, that these are the figures that I found. And then once you specialize, you move into band 6, and your salary between 35 to 42. Once you become a senior, or you become a lead, or if you want to work in consultancy, your salary will be higher depending on your experience and where you work. So for me, I can talk about biomedical sciences. There's a slide that I always use, where when you progress from MLA to BMS, I am a band 6 as well now. So, but this is how you develop your experience. But we'll talk about that further. But I've spoken in previous videos again. In terms of biomedical engineering, you start at 24 to 35K. And then when you gain experience, and you become a senior, you earn between 40 to 60. So salaries, again, might be higher if you work in the private sector, R&D, or if you work in all these robotics and AI healthcare companies, or even startups. So as you can see, the salaries are reasonable in terms of the UK, apart from the inflation. In case somebody's watching this video and say, well, it's yeah, it is expensive. I'm a London person, by the way, so I've lived in London. As they say, once you're a Londoner, you're always a Londoner. It is expensive to live in London, but it's very convenient in many ways. For example, I know this is a bit personal, but in case if you're trying to make decide. For example, in London, it's very easy to commute. You don't need a car. So when you go to work, you've got many options in terms of transportation. So even though when I became self-employed, I was able to luckily to work in different places in London because it's easy. But other places outside London, you need a car. I remember I rejected the position because the journey was very difficult. I had to take a bus, and the bus was taking 45 minutes. So as much as it was convenient, I had to turn it down. There's always jobs in London, I must admit. So and I love being in London. I think once you're a Londoner, you're always a Londoner, so it's fine. I'm proud to say that. So industry sectors for both biomedical science, they can work in NHS, private healthcare, research labs, biotech firms. Like I said, I was lucky enough to start in the private, so don't limit yourself. If you really want that that security to work in the NHS, it's okay, start in the private, and then you can progress like myself into the NHS, and at least you've got both experiences. I've shared that in a video in full details. I might elaborate in the future, but check it out. Don't limit yourself. If I didn't work in the private, I don't think I would have ever started. And by the way, I didn't start biomedical science straight away. I worked as a research scientist in a company, but I don't know, I didn't find it challenging enough. I prefer working in, this more, I don't know how to say it. This is from my heart, but this is my personal opinion. I feel like if you work in the clinical environment, you learn more, you're more challenged compared to if you work in a company. I find it is more repetitive. Maybe things have changed. I'm talking about whenever I started, so don't quote me for that. So biomedical engineer, they work with medical device companies, robotics, prosthetics, healthcare startups, which are loads at the moment, manufacturing, AI, and digital health. And don't forget, you can become a consultant. You don't have to, there are roles that consultancy is important. And freelance option. I'm a freelance myself. It's the same as self-employed, and also we use it in our profession as locum, where you register with an agency, and the agency will onboard you. They will send you the vacancies, and then you send your CV. And then they send your CV and they do all the training for you. You just turn up to work. So, and I spoke about that in one of my videos. So freelancing is fantastic. So I really love the option of that. At the moment, I'm in a career break. I have taken a career break, but I'm still registered, and I've got that profession that I can practice. So it's very convenient. Once you got the experience, once you've got the, your whatever registration and all of that, you're good to go. I know some of them, once they become band 5, they go straight into locum or freelancing. So there are options. Don't limit yourself. So these two roles are very important for you to work in technology, and therefore you continue reshaping healthcare. So for me, currently as a freelancer or self-employed or locum, I work in the NHS. These are the roles that I got thrown at me or offered. There are vacancies in private. So again, whatever situation I'm in, I will apply to the job, which is good because you explore, and to be honest, you learn a lot. I might be sharing a video about that, but I've spoken about my experience in several videos, but it still continues because I'm still learning, by the way. So the journey continues. So finally, how do you know which one is right for you? You ask yourself, do you enjoy working hands-on patient samples, diagnostics, or laboratory investigations? If the answer is yes, then you're more of a biomedical scientist. You're more drawn. But if you're excited about designing solutions, building technology, applying engineering principles to healthcare challenges, then biomedical engineering could be your match. If you're curious about both and you can't make your decision, then consider shadowing, consider internships, or even there might be some hybrid programs, online programs that will touch on both. So how can you do that? I've spoken about that. You just send an email to a company that you're interested in, or a place where you're interested in, and I've shared that. It's called speculative application, or just simple email where you pitch for yourself. I always say it's so important to pitch for yourself now. Just send an email, explain your situation, and say I want to get some experience, and be honest. Just tell the truth. They will respect you more for that. Also, what I want you to consider, I always say a career is not same as a job. A job is a task that you carry out and you get paid for. But a career, it's everything. Your personality, your lifestyle, your job. It's a whole package. So this is the most important thing that I want you to ask yourself. Not a lot of people talk about that, but you need to know about your personality. Are you detail orientated? Do you like analysis? Do you like investigation? Or you love solving design problems or being creative with technology? So hopefully by now you have guessed. The first one is biomedical science. The second one is biomedical engineering. So in a nutshell, both of them are very important in healthcare, but they are very different. They're different. In a way, one focuses on understanding the human body and disease, which is biomedical science, and one is understanding or focusing on designing solutions to support healthcare. So hopefully I have given you an overall idea on what they like. So like any career, to succeed in any of them, you need to have the correct degree, the right certification in order for you to succeed in your career journey. Again, to remind you, biomedical science typically requires bachelor's degree, while biomedical engineering requires engineering degree, certification, and specialized training to enhance your qualification and job prospects. But even though the resource tells me this, I think both of them are equally the same. You need the right degree, it needs to be accredited, you need to be registered, you need to progress and take in additional or specialized. So by the end of this video, I want you to appreciate that your career is a journey. Choose wisely to ensure that it aligns with your passion and your strengths. I don't know who said this quote, but I live by that. For example, when I decided to, when COVID hit, it made me review my whole life, not just my profession. And then I decided to resign from my full-time job. I took a career break. I've learned about how the benefits of a career break, which is very, very difficult for you to leave a comfortable position in a comfortable place in London. especially for my profession, we are comfortable. Everything is structured. You graduate, you qualify, you get a job, you stay there for the rest of your life. But for me, I had to think, and also other personal reasons that I had to consider as well. So resigning, taking a career break, and then self-employment wasn't straightforward. I decided to embark on that new journey, and that itself was also learning. I'll be sharing more about it. I've shared in previous videos about the benefits of a career break, how I resigned, how do you do self-employment, how was my self-employment journey, how did it come about, and also I've shared the video also about my current career break, why I decided to take another career break. So that's what I'm trying for you to understand. It all comes under creating your dream career, which I mentioned in my second book. And also it happens to be, this is the future of work now. And I'll be talking about the creating content and this whole journey. So don't stop exploring. Stay curious and find out, and don't give up. It is a journey. It's not something that will happen overnight. This is one thing I want this new generation, or whoever's watching, whether you start in your career, that it takes time. You have to be patient. Now I look back and I think, oh, thank God I went through all these challenges and all these hurdles, because that's what shaped me now. And the good news is, which we're going to talk about in the Q&A video, which is the next one. I'll talk about further about this, how you can transit from a career to another. So I hope you guys, this video has given you a bit of a insight. Feel free to drop any questions you have. All the links are going to be at the bottom of this video in the description. And like I promised, I'm going to be giving you better content. I'm not just saying that. And keep the questions coming in, because that way we grow together. This is not about me delivering information to you. This is about us learning together and growing together. So until the next video, keep shining, keep inspiring, and see you next time. Right, this is just to test the camera and to test the microphone. So hopefully it's fine. Right, I need to see if this needs to be very close. I'm not sure if this is the best angle for the microphone. Right, is it better with or without? Oh, wait. And now let's see if it's working. And then when I listen to it, I take this off. I don't know, there's a screw that I had to turn, so hopefully now it's working. This is what happens when you don't read the manual. You just do what you need to do, and then you forget that you're supposed to read.